Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and just on my recent visit to Billund, Denmark, my LEGO Masters teammate Rob and I took a little bit of a day trip, although really it was more of a 2-day trip, all the way down from Billund to South Germany, specifically to visit Legoland Germany, and even more specifically, to visit the absolutely mind-blowing, insane pick-a-brick they have available. Now, if you aren't aware of what the Legoland Germany pick-a-brick is and why it is so special, well, last year, I actually got a chance to visit, and I put out a video basically showcasing how blown away I was by the sheer range of pieces, the prices, and the sheer quantity of stuff available at Legoland Germany's Pick-a-Brick. Because you see, unlike any other Pick-a-Brick around the world, even LEGO headquarters in Billund was not as good as this, because they had a copy of basically every single piece that is currently available from the newest sets, brand new, available in the Pick-a-Brick store in bulk. So aside from specifically licensed pieces, every single other piece that was essentially available from last year, this year, including the newest summer releases, were available in bulk in Pick-a-Brick. So we went in September of 2023, and we basically were able to find all sorts of different pieces. I mean, you're about to see what they had. The only thing that they were sold out of were the brand new Lego City Orcas, which was quite unfortunate because they're selling for like $60, $70 a piece on Bricklink, and someone literally said they had them in stock the week before, but they sold out, they were gonna get it replenished, but we were basically only there for a day, so you know what? We didn't get any Orcas, but we got a lot of other cool stuff. And so, join me and Rob as we travel downwards from Billund to Germany and back up to Billund in what was probably one of the craziest train journeys of my life so far. We literally had one day, one single Sunday where we did not have plans in Billund, that we were free to do something, and so we literally left at like 6 p.m. Billund on Saturday, got in the next day at like 7, 8 a.m. after 5 transits throughout the night, like 5 different stops and goes. And then we had to leave Legoland Billund at around 3 or 4 p.m. and then took trains all the way back. It was a long train journey, and got back in Billund on Monday at 8 a.m. So this was probably one of the craziest journeys we probably could have pulled off, but I'm so happy we were able to do it because Legoland Germany was a blast. And so this video is going to be split in 2 parts. Part 1 is the entire journey and destination there. It's a pretty crazy story, and of course our actual experience at the Legoland Germany Pick-a-Brick factory itself, with all the minifig parts, the regular parts, the animals, transparent parts, printed parts, just absolutely going crazy. And then part 2 of this video will be the massive haul that we got from Legoland Germany, just the bulk bags of bricks, sorting through them, unboxing everything. This is gonna be a long one, so if you're only interested in the haul, you can jump to that straight in the timestamp in the description below, or if you're only interested in seeing the actual Legoland Germany Pick-a-Brick itself, you can just watch the first half of the video and call it good there. And without further ado, let's transport ourselves back to Billund, Denmark, and see how exactly we got to Legoland Germany, in the south of Germany. Okay, so we are at Weile Station, which is about 30 minutes from Billund, and we have, how long is our journey ahead?
15 to 16 hours.
15 to 16 hours of trains, I think 5 stops, going to Legoland Germany for a couple of reasons. One, because Robert has never been to Legoland, right?
I've been to Legoland, not Legoland Germany.
Which one have you been to?
The one in California.
Oh, well, like when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, so he hasn't been to a Legoland in a while, but Legoland Germany is infamous for the Pick-a-Brick, so we're going for that. Excusing the terrible audio in the random corridor in the Weile train station, this was our destination, the Fabric Shop at Legoland Germany. Now, last year I got a chance to go with my friend Brian, and we were able to find some absolutely insane finds of animals, rare pieces, printed elements, and this was hopefully going to be just as good, if not better. And spoiler alert, yeah, it was just as good. Now here's a look at our absolutely insane itinerary going out. We literally wrapped up everything we had to do that day in Billund at 5:30, and this was something that we had booked a ton of stuff to do. There were people on call, on deck, working with us on stuff, so it was kind of crazy. But we wrapped up all our stuff at 5:30. We had 15 minutes to drop off our purchases at the LEGO employee store at our hotel, and then from 5:45 to 6:15, we took a taxi from Billund to Weile and basically hoped and prayed we'd be able to catch our 6:24 train, which, of course, we barely did. Once we got on the train, it was a pretty long journey, and we knew we weren't gonna get a ton of sleep that night. Our best bet for sleep was at the 10:20 p.m. to 6:04 a.m. sleeper train from Hamburg to Munich, but when I say sleeper train, we didn't actually pay to actually sleep in the sleeping bunks, so we just got regular seats and kinda called it good. Now, that was a pretty decent chunk of sleep, but we did have to keep very aware, because if my previous experience taking the Deutsche Bahn was anything to go by, those trains, as folks in Europe probably know, run very, very late sometimes, and if one train was delayed, we could be in a whole lot of trouble, where you can see the amount of time in between some of the stations could be as short as 6 minutes. We had 8:07 p.m. to 8:15, 9:22 to 9:28, 10:11 to 10:20. If even one of those trains was late, everything could have gone wrong, and all of this was prepaid too, so we would kinda be screwed because not only would we have been stranded, there wasn't even another train we could have taken. Like, a lot of these trains were the only ones during this time of the night, so we basically just had to cross our fingers, hope everything went well, and embarked on the journey that I honestly probably would not do again by train because it was very, very risky. Now, of course, we made our way to Hamburg, had a lot of great memories of going to Hamburg last year. Folks remember my infamous LEGO Germany shopping in Hamburg, but that was really only halfway because Hamburg was North Germany and we still had a long journey ahead of us. Let's hear from Rob as to how he was doing.
We're here at Hamburg with Rob. I cannot believe I'm back. It's literally been a year. Rob, your first time in Hamburg?
Second.
Second time. Okay. All right, let's go.
One night of sleep later, we made our way over to Munich and then Munich to Ulm, in which case we were just one stop away from Legoland Germany, and so we went ahead and took the train over. It was past 8 a.m. and things weren't looking so good.
What's your reaction to where we are right now?
So where are we? Why is it so foggy?
We're like in Shrek's swamp.
Like you can't even see. What is
Yo, this kind of aesthetic, Legoland like this, yo. We're actually really close too.
No.
It's actually the dead marshes.
But once we made our way through the murky swamps and the dead marshes, we finally arrived at Legoland Germany. Now, Legoland Germany unfortunately didn't open for another 2 hours, so we basically just had 2 hours to kill. And thank God there was a magazine shop selling Lego magazines. If you don't know this about me, I absolutely love the European exclusive Lego magazines. I know most Europeans in the comments have stated that they're like nothing special and kind of boring, but since we don't get them in America, I personally find them very cool. If you don't know what these are, most of these magazines contain a special minifigure, as well as a little comic, and maybe even a small side build in a magazine itself. But one of my favorite things about going to Germany is the fact that we can actually collect Lego Ninjago trading cards, which is another one of my favorite games to play with my friends with Team Duckbricks, especially because the cards are not in English, they are, well, in this case, in German, making them even more fun to try to decipher what on earth they're saying. So after spending way too much on magazines, seriously, how did I spend 137 euros on paper? We eventually made our way over to a sandwich shop, which had some pretty interesting menu items after running it through our translator. Despite the fact that unfortunately no occupied souls were available to purchase, we managed to get some breakfast, and then we ran into another hurdle because we realized they do not actually take card, they only took cash, but thankfully a very kind stranger was able to help us out and bought our breakfast for us. Shout out to the random German man who felt bad for us and bought us our bread, so that was really amazing and kind because we were starving, we were hungry and sleepy, and we basically had 2 hours to kill before going to the park. Of course, I took this time to fully unbox all of my LEGO Ninjago magazines and the loot that I had spent 137 euros on. Man, that was not a smart financial decision, but it was very satisfying in the moment to finally stock up on German exclusive LEGO Ninjago trading cards, especially because, again, you can't get these in the US. Of course, I had to get multiple copies of the magazine that featured the Imperium Dragon Hunter. That was before I knew that the pieces were going to be available on Pick-a-Brick, so I kind of went crazy and got a ton of copies of it because I thought it was my only chance to army build the figure, and then like a month later, LEGO was like, hey, it's on Pick-a-Brick. But you know, you win some, you lose some. But here you can see the result of the loot. Really cool that they included those minifigures in the packages, but the best was yet to come, because after we warmed up for 2 hours and did some work, it was finally time to make our way over to Legoland Germany. All right, Rob, your first time in Legoland for a while.
For a long while. Last time I came was when I was a baby.
Do you remember how old you were when you last came?
Under 8.
Under 8, okay, so this is gonna be wild. We are going to what may be the best Legoland in the world, which is Legoland Deutschland in Germany here.
Deutschland.
Oh yes, let's go. Now once we got in the park, we made a beeline for the Fabrik, the factory shop. After paying our respects to our native country, of course, we managed to make our way to the Legoland Factory Tour exhibit, where you actually go in. We were actually given a special commemorative Halloween brick for Legoland Germany. Of course, had to pass by the Lego Bionicle ride, so we're gonna get to that in a second, see some Lego ducks, and finally make our way into the factory itself. And our reaction while walking in, well, let's just take a look at that right now.
Yo. Oh my god. Robert, over here. Rob. Oh my god. Okay, wait. Where are they at?
Now I will say, unfortunately, they did not have any orcas left, which was kind of one of the most important things I was looking for because they were sold out very quickly. I believe they said they would be restocking those, so if you are in the Germany area and need orcas, I believe they had them by the bulk. However, they did have a ton of other amazing stuff, and thankfully all the pieces were sorted really nicely, and you didn't hear it from me, but they kinda had a better selection than the LEGO Masters Brick Pit, at least in terms of new elements. As you can see, they had massive boat hulls, and those ones were of course priced separately, but every other piece was basically priced by weight, which was really nice. There was a section dedicated to transparent parts where you can see the LEGO City stunts ramps. They had all the new foliage pieces like the LEGO City farmland elements right there, and it was just kind of crazy seeing just so many new elements in pure bulk just available for purchase. And of course, at the end of the video, I'll do a massive haul showcasing all of these specialized new elements I was able to pick up. Now this was kind of a Lego builder's heaven, and now that I personally am getting more and more into MOC making thanks to my time on LEGO Masters, I really want to start building up a LEGO parts studio of my own. I really was able to stock up here and hopefully get the beginnings of what could be a really great part studio. And what's really cool is they even had a lot of the newest elements, printed pieces, transparent panels. Those are really cool. Trans-purple panels. I don't even remember where those are from. It was just so cool seeing the sheer plethora and wealth of pieces available, especially really obscure and random pieces that really only appeared in 2 or maybe even only 1 set. Now there was an entire section dedicated to printed tiles, and that was so cool because they basically had printed tiles from every single modern set, as well as walls and walls of Technic pieces. And I got a full bag of LEGO Technic because for whatever reason I seem to keep running out of pins and axles. I need them for my Bionicle builds, so I absolutely stocked up on Technic, but not just the standard parts too, because they had some of the rarest pieces in weird colors, like the dark blue Technic recolors from the recent LEGO car that came out in March, and of course, here you can see some of the printed tiles from the Galaxy Explorer, just tons and tons of them. It was honestly kind of a dream. I've never seen anything like this in any other Legoland, and we literally came from Legoland Billund, home of the LEGO Group, and they had nothing this good, nothing near this good. It was so cool seeing a plethora of brand new pieces, but the best was yet to come, because cordoned off they actually had some specialized elements that unfortunately were priced individually. They were not priced by weight, so there were some elements that you had to get individually, but honestly they were worth it because the prices, for the most part, were way better than Bricklink, and I definitely had a blast stocking up on some of the rarest LEGO pieces right here in this section. So this is probably the craziest section here. You have lions, eagles, horses, horse bardings, cows, other types of horses from LEGO Friends, underwater animals such as the new LEGO City Shark, the polar bears, the seals, all sorts of different unique pieces, tracks, roller coaster elements, dolphins, manta rays, unprinted manta rays. Those were actually Q elements, aka non-production pieces that somehow made their way in, the LEGO Friends zebra and giraffe, of course tons and tons of lions, and unfortunately the only difference between last year and this year was that there was a 5-item cap on those particular items. You could only get 5 max, and they probably did that to prevent resellers, which I totally understand. Last year there was no limit, and I kind of went crazy on animals for my own collection, so maybe they're like, oh wow, that guy came in and bought like 50 elephants. Let's not let him do that next time. So I totally understand it, but it was still a little bit too bad that they had a little bit of a cap on those particular special elements. Still, it was really cool being able to just load up the bags and weigh the elements. And I also want to give a shout out to the fans from Germany who recognized me as Duckbricks and even gave me a 20% off coupon, which definitely came in huge handy. So thank you so much for doing that. That was very kind of you to give myself and Robert each a coupon, and we certainly put them to good use because that actually made quite a big difference given the amount that we were getting. Now, off to the side on the cabinet, they also had some other animals and specialty elements set aside, where I thought the prices were actually pretty good, getting some of the new animals like the turtle mixed in with a ton of other stuff for only around 2 to 3 euros. Of course, I had to get multiple copies of the new brown duck introduced in the LEGO Friends Botanical Garden, which was so cute, and even the puppy as well as one of the larger dogs with a dog walker was only 3 euros. So maybe not the best prices they could be, but fair prices compared to Bricklink, definitely cheaper than Pick-a-Brick by a lot, so it definitely made a lot of sense for me to get a ton of animals here and to stock up because they had basically all of the newest animals except the orcas because those sold out very quickly. The elephants were also pretty cheap, I think around 6 euros each, so those were really nice to get. I managed to get a ton more elephants, as well as these tires, which I believe were exclusive to one of the larger Technic motorcycle. For whatever reason, they had a bin full of them, so I got a ton in case I ever need to have a MOC that needs them. I checked on Bricklink, and those tires are actually really expensive, so I was like, you know what, I'll stock up while I can, and in case I ever need them in the future, I have them in my inventory because they were super cheap. Here's what the incredible warehouse looked like, and it kind of felt like the Costco of LEGO, where literally just all the way to the ceiling, there were incredible stacked bins of pieces. Look at all that roller coaster track, that is nuts, and I definitely want to recreate my LEGO Masters roller coaster build, so I probably will be coming back here next year to get those pieces if I don't get them from Pick-a-Brick already, and there's just so much to see here. I mean, it was almost an overwhelming amount of pieces, and I really love the organizational system as well. This is the kind of setup that I personally would love to have in my own future LEGO room. I definitely would have to move into a much bigger house, but this is kind of the perfect building studio because you have such a wide variety of elements, of newer elements, of older elements, and they're all really nicely organized as well. Like you've got the animals to one side, plates on the other side, and so on. Here's a look at some of these specialty bins that they had for some of these special, unique, one-of-a-kind items, which again, the purchase limit was 5 per person, but Robert helped me out a little bit. I got some of his 5 because he didn't really care about some of the other animals, so that was quite nice of him. Again, very interesting that they had unprinted manta rays, which have never appeared in any LEGO set. We'll take a much closer look at them during my haul, and here's a look at some of the display windows where they even were selling some of the LEGO City stunt sets separately. But we haven't even gotten to the minifigures, because as crazy as the LEGOLAND Germany standard Pick-a-Brick is, the minifigure Pick-a-Brick is basically at the same level. Now here's the thing about the minifigures. You have to make complete minifigures and you cannot get bulk pieces. That was honestly the biggest downside to the actual minifig Pick-a-Brick, and I feel like they really nerfed the minifig Pick-a-Brick by doing this because you couldn't get a ton of pieces in bulk, you had to make complete minifigures, which really limited the amount of stuff you could do, and honestly they weren't even that affordable either. It was actually pretty expensive per minifigure, so you weren't really necessarily saving a ton of money, but it was still really cool to see the sheer variety of minifigure pieces available, especially because they had parts from some of the newest sets, like Pigsy's dark blue mid-legs from LEGO Monkey Kid, to all of the different parts from the Lion Knight's castle, the Black Falcons, the Lion Knight's queen, and so on. They basically had one of almost everything, even Ninjago Dragon's Rising, the special dual-molded prosthetic limb, which is really expensive on Pick-a-Brick, so you can definitely get a good deal there, mermaid tails from LEGO Harry Potter, as well as the shark head from Harry Potter, Victor Crumb, which we saw earlier, and just a pretty crazy selection overall of all sorts of new elements. My favorite that I stocked up on was that green screen guy suit, which appeared in the LEGO City Downtown set as part of the costume for the dinosaur head, which they also did have the dinosaur head in here as well, but they even had the large-scale Big Fig style heads introduced for the LEGO Lunar New Year Parade set as a special part of the costume, which was really cool, and they even had different colors of heads as well. It wasn't just the yellow heads, but they had some licensed heads as well, plus even some collectible minifigure components. I noticed Aurora's hair from the LEGO Disney Collectible Minifigure Series 2 lineup, just a really interesting selection of pieces, and yes, they did have minifigure accessories as well. But yeah, as you can see, it was only complete figures. The prices were around €2.49 per figure, or €12 for 6 minifigures, which, I mean, honestly, thinking back, that's not bad. Like, that's actually a pretty good price. But given that I really was very tempted to bulk up on just particular minifig pieces like the shields, it made it pretty difficult to just get a ton of one piece. Like, the firing avatar bow was really cool, but I couldn't just get a ton of them, I had to just get them one by one. So that is a bit of a downside to the way it works, but I feel like it definitely is a lot fairer that way. These safeguards are here to prevent people like me from coming in and just buying up the entire stock, so listen, I totally get it, because if it was up to me and we could buy them by bulk, I would be clearing out a ton of the Knight's shields, the Knight's armors to build my own army buildings, so I get it, I definitely understand why the safeguards are in place, and as a company, it makes total sense they were there, but I just will say that as a consumer, it would have been really cool to be able to stock up on just like 100 Black Falcon shields, but I get that they didn't want to do that for obvious reasons. Still, the selection was really cool. One thing I did notice is that they were very smart in which pieces they chose to include. Specifically, they made it such that you could never build a complete figure from an existing LEGO set, whereas for something like, say, Ninjago Kai, you have his torso, you have the head, you have the armor, and you have the legs, but you have no upper hood. Or for something like Pigsy, you have the torso and the legs, but no head. And they really went through great lengths to make sure that you could not build complete minifigures, probably because they were trying to prevent people from coming in and I guess reselling them, or maybe not buying a set and just getting a minifigure here. The choices of elements were very, very smart, and it really encouraged creativity in terms of picking out which pieces to get, but that is something I do want to mention for folks planning on making trips out. It isn't 100% perfect. There are a couple things like that where it clearly is meant such that you cannot get fully complete minifigures. That being said, for most of the rare figures, there was only like one piece missing, so if you really wanted to, you could get most of a rare figure, and then just get the one piece you're missing off of Bricklink or Pick-a-Brick, which definitely is a lot cheaper than trying to get it yourself. This was one of my favorite bins, seeing the genie lamps in gunmetal gray as well as gold. They even had the Harry Potter brooms being used there, and of course, the dual molded and as well as the printed Lion Knights pieces, which was really, really nice. And I think that there was a really cool inclusion of the prosthetic limb element because, again, it's kind of hard to get that one, and they basically allowed you to get it for any figure. You also could get a set of all the micro figures for €6 per, which I personally felt was a little bit high, so I chose to pass on that, but the option was there, and I really liked how they had a lot of licensed stuff too, like the tan and pith hats from Indiana Jones. They also had the dark gray hats, as well as a ton of different stuff. Here's a look at the selection of pieces I personally went for, because of course I wanted to maximize my fun, unique minifigure pieces. Now, we could go on and on about the minifigure part selection, but this was not the only minifig pick-a-brick in the park. Oh no, because there was one more. There was a LEGO Ninjago specific minifigure pick-a-brick, and that was even crazier, because they had basically every single new Ninjago minifigure from Dragon's Rising, from Crystallized, from Ninjago Core, all almost fully buildable, except a couple of different pieces missing, again to prevent you from making a full figure. But they had almost everything you would need. Here's Sora's dual molded hairpiece as well as Pixel's hair. They had every single one of the Ninjago Dragon's Rising ninja suits with the armor and hat combos, just not the ninja heads, which honestly didn't really matter that much because you can get ninja heads anywhere. They even had Camille's hair in purple, which was really interesting how they threw that in. They had Kalmar's squid torso from Ninjago Seabound, the Imperium guard helmets, and overall, it was pretty insane, especially because I went at a time before I knew these pieces were even going to be available at Pick-a-Brick. This was well before LEGO updated their Pick-a-Brick because it was back in September, so I thought this might be the only chance to get some of these things in bulk, so it was really cool being able to explore that store. And at the Ninjago store, they also were selling some magazines, which was really nice to get even more magazines, not that I needed any more, but you know, I went crazy anyways. And what was really interesting is that they even had some of these special Ninjago DVDs, where they put certain episodes of the show on these actual DVDs themselves. I didn't get any because I honestly don't really have a need for it, but it was certainly very interesting seeing the packaging for these being sold at official LEGO outlets, especially because we don't really have this in the US, and it was really cool seeing like crystallized episodes being sold one by one as like individual episodes on discs. Really curious what happens with those. I probably kind of should have gotten one. I'm kind of regretting that, to be honest. Still, the Ninjago store was really awesome. But finally, with our shopping pretty much done, it was time to explore the park itself, and that is probably going to be a separate video because there was a lot to do in Legoland Germany, and honestly, I feel like it would detract from the Pick-a-Brick video if we were to spend so much time on what we did at Legoland Germany, so overall, stay tuned for that future video coming up if you want to see Robert's first experience at a Legoland park since he was 8 years old. I think he went to Legoland California. But yeah, very cool to see the Lego Ninjago store, which you can see tons of photos of here. Lots and lots of Ninjago merch. I wish they made the clothing in adult sizes because I would have absolutely loved that. But now we can get back to the Pick-a-Brick because here you can see just more and more choices of just crazy figure variations, different bits and pieces of minifigures that are super useful if you want to complete your Dragons Rising minifigure collection. I was just blown away. I literally had no words for what I was witnessing. Robert very patiently waited outside and got us food while I was just kind of exploding over the amount of crazy pieces they had available. And eventually, like 30 minutes later, he was like, "Dude, where did you go? What happened?" And I said, "Just come in here, come check this out, because they've got everything." And it was really cool being able to piece together a ton of minifigures. I managed to get a lot of Imperium Guard helmets, as well as Imperium Dragon Hunter helmets as well, so made sure to stock up on those for my own army building purposes. And overall, this was one of the best experiences at the Ninjago Pick-a-Brick shop. But now, I think it's finally time to move on to the insane haul from Legoland Germany. All of the different pieces, minifigure elements, and parts that we got from Pick-a-Brick coming up right now in one of my craziest LEGO hauls yet. Okay, so here is basically everything that can at least fit in my review studio of all of the different things that I got during my latest visit to Legoland Germany's insane Pick-a-Brick. Again, if you do want to check out my haul last year, I kind of have that one all spread out across my floor. I no longer have a floor space to do that because my city is there, so I'm going to try to showcase this in my review studio and see what we can and cannot show. Now, this bag is, like, literally filled to the brim with stuff that I just got bulk. And surprisingly, what I will immediately say is that the Ziplocs are incredibly hardy, and only one of them actually burst partway through transit in my luggage, and that was because I probably overstuffed it. So, for the most part, this is still very heavy, like ridiculously heavy amounts right now. But you can see that there's just quite a lot of different items. There are different bags of items, there are bags holding bags of items, and yeah, this is pretty insane. So let's open this up and take a look at what exactly I got from this latest trip to Legoland Germany. And this is probably one of my biggest part hauls of all time. When I went last year, it was not even this crazy because I wasn't really trying to get deeply into mocking. Now that I have been on LEGO Masters, I want to start more mocking, and I want to be able to build up a working studio for LEGO building, and that's why I've gotten a lot more pieces that are just general LEGO building pieces. But right now, let's just quickly unbox the massive haul from Legoland Germany and see everything that I actually got. Now, there are some obvious ones here, and I'm going to actually start by opening up these smaller bags. A lot of these bags are like not super, I mean, they're interesting, but a lot of them are like plates that I want to use for making minifig wall displays, or lots of leaves. But I think there are more interesting items in the smaller bags because those ones are not just filled with basic bricks. So what we are going to do is I am going to set aside all of the gigantic bags. Oh, this one's interesting. Okay, we can take a look at this one as the first of the large bags, but everything else is going to sit over here because, as you can tell, there's more than enough to showcase with just the little bags here, and I'm going to set aside all of these for now and just focus in on this stash of bags right here. So obviously the most important thing here is that you can see that there are many elephants, and elephants come without their heads, but the heads are in separate bags. I don't know which bags have the elephant head, so we're just going to open these up one by one and hope that I got the right amount. They were supposed to give me the right amount, but we will see. This is also a haul of minifigure pieces, also from Legoland Germany. You might notice some interesting items in there. There certainly are some unique things that I was able to pick up, like the firing bow from Avatar. We've got some of the Ninjago Dragons Rising armor elements, lots of golden woo heads. For some reason, I don't know why those were there. The shark heads from Harry Potter, we got mermaid tails. We'll get into this one probably later on in the video because there's so much to discuss here. But first, let me actually open all these up, and I think that it'll be easier to actually consolidate all of these because a lot of these are little tiny bags that only contain a few different pieces, and the reason for that was because we actually had the option to buy animals individually and go from there. So there are actually a very small amount of pieces in many of these bags, but many of them are these very cute animals like the otter here. This was a piece that was literally just introduced for LEGO City, which is an adorable little otter. Look at that creature. That is so cute to be able to get just an extra copy of him. There is an otter battle pack available that kind of has a ton of otters in it as a small $10 city set, but getting them individually is nice too, and of course it does come with the duck as well, although I do have a ton of ducks already. Moving aside, let's see what is in this bag. And I think I got multiple copies of a lot of these things. Like, there should be... Most of these bags are just little animals. Probably, I'm going to zoom in here just so we can see kind of what we're looking at in terms of the different pieces available here. But we've got one of these small turtles, which is nice, a LEGO Friends turtle, and a little yellow seahorse from LEGO Friends. So that's kind of a more Friends-inspired one. Now, I think a lot of these are elephant heads, but I'm going to keep on moving on with these small animals. And again, it's really cool because LEGOLAND Germany is basically just Pick-a-Brick, where you can just get a ton of different things, kind of like Pick-a-Brick, but individually based on the animals, and much cheaper than Pick-a-Brick as well. You can see that they have more otters here, one of the Friends otters, so very, very cute to get those. Let's see, what is inside this bag? Oh, that's nice. Okay, so that bag has the new brown duck from LEGO Friends, but it is just the rubber duck piece, but in brown. So that one's really cute from the Botanical Gardens. Again, these are all newer animals that they're including in these bags, which is really, really cool of LEGO to actually have these available in Germany. What's in this one? Oh, that is another set of otters and ducks. Of course I had to get a ton of ducks, right? Like, you gotta get the ducks. Oh, this is a nice one. This bag, I believe, has... Yes! Oh, look at that. That is so adorable. Look at them. These are a collection of baby polar bears and baby seals. Oh, that is the cutest thing. Actually, you know what? I probably should give some of these to my girlfriend because she loves seals, and they're just so, so cute. So we have a little set of seals and baby polar bears there from the latest line of LEGO City Arctic sets. Opening up this package here, we can maybe set aside some of these animals for now so we can kind of clear out the space for more. Let's see what's here. Turtle sets. We have the different color of turtles. So we actually have both colors of turtle being sold there at LEGOLAND Germany, which is very nice. Let me just get these in frame here. So you've got both colors of turtles, a Friends turtle, two different Friends turtles, and the actual classic LEGO City style turtle, which actually first did debut in the collectible minifigure series, but it is still very nice to see. This is another set of that new color of the rubber ducky piece, the new color of the baby duck, which is in brown. So, so cute to see that. That's another elephant head. That's another elephant head. This is something else entirely. We have some other animals here, like these are the female lions that they had available, so I wanted to get a couple of these to set aside. Now let's see, what's in here? I think a lot of these are going to start getting repeats, like we have multiple otters in there, and I did manage to get a ton of different copies of these cute little animals because I love LEGO animals, and I love being able to share them with folks as well on stuff like Whatnot auctions, which I will be running to sell some of the duplicates that I don't necessarily need. I mostly, a lot of times, got these animal packs for one particular animal, but they all came with like 3 or 4, so definitely expect to see some of these pop up on Whatnot auctions for certain ones that I did not need, but of course you got the ducks, you got the otters, such a cute selection of little animals. Let's keep on opening these bags up and seeing what's inside these bags here. I think that's more turtles. Yes, I love that new turtle mold. That is a really fun mold. Oh, I think this is something new. Let's see what this is containing. Yeah, that is a set of the baby cats. So we have the baby Black Panther, a baby lion cub, as well as a baby white cat. I'm not quite sure which one this is supposed to be, but those ones are the specialized mold made for LEGO City Jungle stuff, as well as recolored for LEGO City missions. Now, this is probably the most interesting bag here. And this contains multiple copies of unprinted manta rays. These unprinted manta rays are exclusive to LEGOLAND Germany. They are basically Q elements. What Q elements are elements that do not appear in any set. these manta rays in sand blue are supposed to have printing on them, but for some reason, Legoland Germany got a batch of these unprinted and they were selling them, which makes these probably some of the rarest items you can even get because these literally are not sold in any sets, and it's kind of wild to see Q elements just being sold like regular Lego pieces because they literally do not exist or should not exist. We've got some more of these little creatures right here. Otter, duck, gecko. Very, very nice. And I'm going to speed through opening up the rest of these because I feel like we have seen all of the unique little animals and could probably move on to some of the more interesting larger bags. Okay, there you can see this is pretty much all of these small animals that I got from the Pick-a-Brick in Legoland Germany. I mean, I guess the mantas are a little bit larger, so maybe we can exclude those ones for now, but there's quite a lot of little animal goodness here for Lego stuff. I love making Lego zoos and just having a ton of little Lego animals, and these are a really great selection of the newest ones, so it is really cool to see that, and now we can move on to opening some other items here as well. Okay, so I've gathered all the elephants off to the side. I've also got the unprinted rays here, a lot of the little animals, and one other thing I wanted to point out, this technically was not from the Pick-a-Brick, but this was probably one of the weirdest quote-unquote official sets I've made. You see, this was a set they were selling for around €7, which I think is actually a little bit high for what you get, but I had to pick it up because it is just so strange that this was actually a standalone item that they were selling. Basically, the instruction manuals are just this photograph of the bricks being laid out, and this is particularly weird to me because I'm pretty sure that LEGO would never actually release a set like this. I'm not sure if LEGO knows that the Legoland Germany employees have released a set like this because, for one, the building techniques are not the most sturdy, especially while building it. It is really flimsy. It's obviously a pumpkin face with a hat, but if I had to guess what happened here, it's that a LEGO master model builder over in Germany just kind of decided to do something special for Halloween and printed out a photo of these instructions and they turned it into an actual sellable item. But that LEGO actually created their guidelines over illegal LEGO techniques over something like this happening. It was a standalone promotional item that used illegal techniques that caused a lot of trouble for LEGO, and now they don't do that anymore, and it's very strange to me that while this doesn't necessarily do anything illegal, it is just a very bizarre LEGO item that I felt kind of fit in with this Pick-a-Brick haul because it is also using the same Pick-a-Brick packaging, and probably the very same bricks that they just literally picked from the Pick-a-Brick station itself. So super weird. The bricks also came stacked and halfway pre-built, like all the orange 2x2s and 2x4s were stacked in a column, so super weird promotional item. I'll be probably auctioning off the other one if I haven't already, but yeah, what a weird thing to actually get for the Legoland Germany Pick-a-Brick to do, but I certainly love adding weird stuff like this to my collection, so I'm glad to now own this one. But now we can actually move on to some of the larger bags here, because a lot of these were focused on the smaller bags and the smaller animals, and you can see I still have so much more to go. I want to briefly go over the minifigure stuff because, I don't know, this might get its own video, or I might just kind of spread this out amongst my own collection, because the Legoland Germany Pick-a-Brick for minifigures is pretty equally as insane, with the only caveat being that you have to build full minifigures, and any extra pieces cost around 50 cents, making it very costly to actually get individual accessories and components, and they did not discriminate based on what accessories you wanted. If you wanted, say, a single katana, and it was not one of the accessories that your minifigures get, 50 cents. Same thing if you wanted something as cool or wacky as, say, let me dig through here, this dual molded boat component, which I think is in Pick-a-Bricks all across the US as well, but some of the other ones that were more interesting they had, like the hairpiece for Aurora from the LEGO Disney Minifigure Series 2, they had that there. They had Ghost Tail, so this is like a purple and trans green legacy ghost trail. They had some golden hats from Ninjago Crystallized, actually a lot of Ninjago stuff. They had a ton of the Imperium Hunter helmets and weapons, but I am getting those off of Pick-a-Brick, so I chose not to get a ton of them here. They had the Avatar firing bows, which is actually really cool to see as a specialized item. It's a shame they did charge 50 cents each for them, otherwise I probably would have gotten more. And all sorts of unique LEGO components like the Azure Lion leg piece from Monkey Kid, let's see what else they have. They had pretty much every color of the Ninjago Dragon's Rising armor pieces, which you saw earlier in the video as well. Had a ton of these, which are really cool. The Year of the Rabbit heads, which definitely going to prove useful. And the one that I got a ton of were these ones because they actually are more expensive on Pick-a-Brick. These are the dinosaur costume head and hat combo from the Lego City Downtown set, which I found to be really cool. Let me go ahead and remove the headpiece there so you can see what that looks like. There's a large mouth and there's just a green screen guy, which I think is a really useful headpiece to get if you want to do like movie productions. You can make that a green screen guy, or you can just have him be in the green outfit here. Overall, just a really useful set of pieces. So kind of around here are just scattered a lot of those. You can also see the shark piece from Victor Crumb Harry Potter, so that was very cool to see that. Let's see, a panda headpiece, a copy of the Golden Woo head. They actually had a lot of these for whatever reason. Let me see if there's anything else interesting. Oh yeah, macaque's scarf. I thought that was pretty cool to get a ton of extras of those. They had some newer hair pieces that you can see in some of the Lego Friends stuff, so overall just a lot of like random weird elements that I'm not really sure why they specifically were being sold individually. There seemed to be no rhyme nor reason to them other than they seem to intentionally not put the same components for one complete minifigure present in any of the things. So for instance, you couldn't make a complete Imperium Dragon Hunter with the helmets here. You could make the helmet and you could get the armor, but you couldn't get the headpiece or the body or torso. Likewise, you could get the armor pieces for, say, Dragon's Rising Cole and maybe even the torso, but not the headpiece or the helmet. So lots of, or I guess the helmet, but not the headpiece. But you got what I'm talking about. Lots of weird inclusions where they clearly were trying to make it a lot harder for people to create existing characters, but they did want to facilitate creating your own characters. So they had, say, Kalmar's squid torso, which they did have last year as well, but none of Kalmar's other parts. So a pretty weird, eclectic assortment of things. I thought it was pretty cool to just see some unique stuff like the golden hairpiece, which was used for the Statue of Liberty, but this originated in Pirates of the Caribbean. So lots of unique pieces that they had available and some older stuff as well. But overall, just a ton of cool minifigure components, and we can now move on to the rest of the list because minifigures, you can basically see what we got here, and we can now move on to what we got in the other bags. So this bag right here is a massive haul that is pretty much just straight from the printed components, and they had an entire shelf dedicated to printed pieces, so I got a ton of the exclusive Galaxy Explorer prints. Very cool to see those available. They had pretty much every printed element that was non-licensed available in sets from 2022 to 2023, I would say, which was really, really cool to see that. So many nice things like the blacksmith sign there, which is very nice. You have the 2022 Year of the Tiger design right over there. Let's see what else. A lot of the Lego City road plate pieces, which obviously from my Lego City are going to come greatly in handy. They even had this large printed element for a washing machine, advertising a kind of washing machine type thing. I think that was in either a modular building or a Juniors 4+ set. Honestly, don't recall exactly which one that's from. But yeah, you can see pretty much here is an example of every single printed element that LEGO has released in the past couple of years, which is very cool of them to do that. So now I can make a ton of classic space MOCs utilizing these special printed pieces. Thanks, LEGO! Moving on from that, we have... This is probably the most interesting bag here because every item in this bag was priced individually, whereas all of the other items were priced by weight. This bag was priced individually, and this is probably the most expensive bag here because they ended up being very pricey. So what I'm going to do is set aside all of these small animals and dump this out, and this is probably going to be the most interesting bag in the entire haul. So let's get this open. Oh shoot, I ripped the bag there. That was an accident. But pouring out this bad boy, we can take a look at some of the insane craziness that you can find in this bag. So first of all, let's start with the elephant in the room. Not the literal elephants, of course, because they're over there, and they were also priced separately, but they kind of came on their own. I mean, these were just the big elephant pieces. Always good to get more of these. But what was really cool to see is that they had these specialized shark elements. These were actually exclusive to a LEGO City underwater set, with the eye looking like this instead of just a standard eye. Super special to get these, and you can see they have the white printing. The man-eating shark mold was first introduced in 2009 for LEGO Pirates, but it's cool to see LEGO still using it to this day, and they did have a purchase limit on basically everything individually priced. So I only was able to get 5 of those, unfortunately. Thankfully, Robert was able to get more, and he has asked me to sell some of his, which I will be doing on behalf of him. So if you want to get some for yourself, you can definitely buy them through me from Robert, although these I'm definitely keeping for myself for my own underwater display. Let's see, what other interesting items do we have here? We have a lot of other sharks, like there are these standard sharks. The light gray hammerheads are really cool. You can see that these ones are the newer ones that were just introduced for LEGO City, so those ones just came out, at least at the time of recording this video. You also have these light gray sharks, which are also just introduced. Very cool to see that. The slightly older sand blue ones as well, but I had to get a few of those. Same with the older crocodile mold, but cool to get these ones. I mean, this is technically their revamped version of it, but it's still very nice. They also had sets of firing cannons, which you could just individually get. They did come with the ammo, which was very nice of them to include the actual ammo for the cannons themselves, which is why there are a lot of black cylinders floating around here. The dark orange or dark brown canoes here, not dark brown. These are dark orange canoes. Orange. Very cool to see those pieces. They also had the white rowboats, so this is going to come in handy for water-themed MOCs. Lots and lots of manta rays, including the older style of the dark tan, as well as the newer style of the sand blue. They had horse bardings, so I can add to my Black Falcon's army, which is very cool, as well as my Lion Knight's army as well. And they also had cows. Cows are obviously a hot commodity after being reintroduced in the LEGO Lion Knight's castle, as well as the LEGO City Farm, and they did come with the horns as well, which was really nice. Let's see, I had to stock up on lions because I realized that I was actually out of lions, so I wanted to get a few more. I mean, obviously I have one of each in my collection, but I wanted a few more to just kind of add to my own LEGO City and maybe make a zoo at some point. They had some LEGO Friends dolphins in dark blue. I think these ones are new for 2023 as well, so that was super cool. The new seal element. This is the brand new large-scale LEGO seal, so super nice to see that, and you can put it alongside the baby seal, which I also got for the smaller animals. Of course, speaking of babies, you have the baby elephants right here. I'm noticing some of these light gray hammerhead sharks had their heads cut off there, so let's just restore them back to their former glory here. And I got some saddles for my Black Falcon horses army. Pretty much that about sums up everything here. Just a nice assortment. Oh, and white whales from LEGO Friends. That was really cool. But yeah, pretty much just sums up all of the unique items that I was able to get for individually priced. They were absolutely very expensive. I don't recall exactly how much, but they certainly were, I think, a little bit cheaper than Bricklink, but a lot more than they should be, because obviously they are just individual pieces, but clearly Legoland Germany knew which ones were the heavy sellers, so they just chose to individually price these ones. I still think I got a really good deal though, because I think this was like a fourth the price that it is on Bricklink, at least at the time of this recording. So maybe people have gotten wise. I'm sure there's a lot of German sellers selling these at lower prices, but I think it was really cool to be able to get so many animals and items at a very good rate from Legoland Germany. And now we can move on to some of the other items on this haul. Of course, we still have a lot more bags to get going to, so I'm going to set these aside for now. Let me see if I can actually put some of these back in the bag, although I kind of want to keep them out because I think it'd be cool to kind of do a haul retrospective at the end of this. So maybe I'll leave them out and then sort them into my animal pieces at the end of this video, but we can now move on. Thankfully, I have a larger review studio now for some of the other items here. Now, what's in this bag? Let me go ahead and take a look. I'm just going to try to open this up and not dump the entire thing out because it is going to be very, very messy. But here we have a ton of the transparent pieces. Now, I did stock up on these transparent pink pieces. I am planning on doing a Ninjago crystallized army plus crystallization of the Ninjago city sets. So I had to get a ton of these to just kind of scatter around. Very cool that they introduced those. They had the LEGO City Stunts ramp pieces, which are normally very expensive on Pick-a-Brick, but here they were actually really cheap because you could just get them by weight and not by volume, and they're actually very light pieces, so that was very cool of LEGO to do. Got a ton of crystals as well because crystals are always cool to get. I honestly think that that's most of what's in here. You know, I may as well dump this out because the pieces are larger, but let me just push all of this stuff aside so we don't lose track of everything that we have here. And then I can actually dump out this entire haul of transparent pieces. That sounds very satisfying. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, lots and lots of good stuff here. I got a ton of these transparent clear elements to use as posing stands for kind of posing flying minifigures in my LEGO City. I'm sure these are going to come in handy for my own future displays, so that is very cool. I'm going to angle the camera down a little bit so we can take a closer look at the other items that we got here. So let's go ahead and set these aside. Of course, you have the crystallized pieces here. A lot of these are stunt ramps for LEGO City. I hope that I got enough to actually make them form a full loop. I will have to double check on that. I feel like I got enough. Like, this is quite a lot. I'm sure I got enough for a full loop. So that's really nice to have there. Of course, I've got the large ramp pieces as well. This is a pretty nice one because, again, these were pretty light, so it was quite nice to be able to just accrue these in case I ever need to use the ramps for some random purposes here and there. So let's set aside all the ramp pieces here. And then you can see I just got a number of different transparent panels. I don't know why I got the most transparent blue crystals. Maybe I was gonna do like a Chima MOC or something, but they're not the Chi crystals. I don't know why I got so many of the light blue ones. Huh. Weird. I think I was trying to get an even distribution, but I kind of just grabbed a handful here and there and just went crazy. So that's pretty cool. That's interesting. I don't remember doing that. And here you can see some transparent red panels, which are really great. Definitely very useful. Same with the transparent purple, which are in a rarer color. And that is the transparent haul from this Bricks and Pieces haul. But again, yeah, still so much more to go, so let's move on. Okay, now that we've got the transparent part sorted, let's move on to the next bag. And yeah, this is a lot of Technic. I don't think I'm opening and dumping this one out because this is just a ton of functional elements, a ton of like pieces to be used for Bionicle MOCs and Technic MOCs, lots of ratchet joints for mechs. I mean, you can kind of get the gist of it. There's nothing super interesting here. This was purely just me needing a ton of Technic pieces for builds, so they're all here. I will sort through this at a later time. Comment down below if you want to see a LEGO sorting live stream, because I feel like that might be an interesting thing to do, to actually sort through all these pieces live. But I got a ton of stuff. You can see some treads in there. You can see a lot of different variations on axles and just useful Technic pieces in general. So very happy to get this. Not something I'm opening on camera right now because it is not something I want to be spread across here and mixed in with the other pieces. I think we can open this one up, though. Let's see what's in this one. I'm actually kind of curious. See, this is, for me, I'm recording this a few weeks after I actually came back home and did all this packing, so I'm kind of just as interested as you are in seeing all the stuff that I got here. So let's find out what's in this one. Okay. Interesting. This is kind of an eclectic assortment of stuff. I don't know if I could classify this as any one specific collection, but you can see lots of specialized printed elements, like these printed little, I guess these are supposed to be like juice containers or something, like juice cans. You also have these printed 1x1 blocks for, is that sunscreen? Or maybe like lemonade juice? I don't know. They say 50 or SO on them. So whatever that means, I'm sure that came in a LEGO City or Friends set. You also have some other juice containers here for a future grocery store. Lots of these nice, somewhat new kind of Asian-inspired pagoda roof element type pieces. So those are useful. Dark blue rocks. I thought that was really cool to get. Obviously, I got the transparent purple little ugly rock pieces, which you can see behind me, but I got a lot of these dark blue ones as well because I thought that was a pretty cool and interesting color. I think this came in LEGO Monkey Kid, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a couple other sets, but it was really cool to see those. And the same as the light gray ones, which surprisingly is a pretty new color. We haven't actually gotten these in light gray. They were introduced in dark gray, and they've pretty much just been in dark gray until recently, whereas now we're getting them in new colors, and light gray is one of them, which is very useful. Surprised we haven't gotten that before, and I'm going to add that to the rock pieces pile. Here I also got some printed LEGO 4+ or Juniors pieces. I think this is from a LEGO Friends set because they've got kind of a horseback riding motif on it. You have some soap studs going up. I don't know why I got so many of these, but I figured they might come in handy for some future MOCs, so why not? You know, a lot of these decisions were just like me going and digging around the parts and saying, oh, that's interesting, why not? So that's kind of what we got here, but I did get a lot of dark orange kind of crate walls as well, which I'm sure are going to be super useful. I keep talking about these being useful for MOCs, and yet I've not actually done a ton of MOCs. I promise more are coming once I actually get my parts sorted, and I finally am getting some forward momentum on getting my stuff sorted. So stay tuned for that. I'm looking to hire someone, or maybe just switch out all my bulk for a working Lego studio. That's something I'm considering. But anyways, lots and lots of nice pieces here to really get me started on my studio, so to speak. We have a lot of these nice fence elements, which are really nice and ornate. I think these were introduced for Lego elves, but of course they're pretty ubiquitous across Lego nowadays. You'll see these pretty much everywhere, a lot across Ninjago, but City as well. So really the point here is just to get a lot of the larger things organized, and then I can put the smaller things away. So everything just works out that way. So let's just get all those stacked up there. Lots of the Ninjago fences as well. These were introduced for the Lego Ninjago movie, but it is cool to see them here. Very excited to see Lego maybe continue to develop new styles and stuff for pieces like these. But of course, we do have the black fences as well. And these are absolutely going to come in handy for a future Lego Ninjago City expansion MOC. And yes, that is something I am working on, is a future Lego Ninjago City expansion. So quite excited for that. Stay tuned to see more updates on where that is going. But yeah, maybe I should separate these two fences out because I did not realize I got so many of those. But that's good because I need a lot. With all the fences sorted out, you can start seeing a little bit clearly what is in here. Lots of tan ingots. I'm sure that's going to come in handy for future builds. A lot of these Lego Harry Potter kind of mini archway pieces, because they had a ton of those and I wanted to stock up specifically on building these for more interesting architectural designs. How'd that get in there? That genuinely is a how'd that get in there moment. These were actually priced separately. The roller coaster parts were done separately. This one is totally on me. I did not mean to throw this in the weighted pieces. I think what had happened was I probably was scooping up a ton of pieces and someone threw this piece in here and I just kind of scooped it up along with and didn't even notice. But well, that's a nice little extra surprise there. I'm sure Lego's not really hurting for money if I got away with one extra piece they should have charged me 50 cents for instead of a few cents for in this lot. But overall, a very nice bag of pieces. Maybe not the most interesting thing, but we do have some of these transparent opalescent satin blue pieces here, which are very nice. Got some more printed pieces, but overall, this is a nice haul. I think I threw in some of the leaves in here because I have a bag full of leaves and I remember it didn't close. So I think I had to throw a lot of them in this bag to make it close. So let's now move on to that because I'm on the topic of it. Okay, we've sort of cleared up a space. This is going to be a problem later because I will run out of space on this review studio to show everything, but you know what? We'll deal with that when that comes. Next up, I think we should open up the leaf bag because that one is probably the next one up. Although, to be honest, I think you can kind of see everything here. I think the most interesting pieces they had were the two new colors of the Lego Lord of the Rings fern piece, which you can see there. They also had the ability to get these kind of vine pieces in bulk, which is very cool. I think there was some other interesting flower stuff. Maybe I should just open this up because they did have leaves in a lot of different colors, and I will need to consolidate all of this in one bag anyway, so you know what? I keep saying I'm not going to open them, and I end up opening them, but let's see what we actually got in here. Oh, that makes a very satisfying sound opening. I'm going to stop talking so you can hear it. It is almost like a jingly sound, almost like Christmas bells, but here you can see the abundance of foliage elements that we got on this particular haul. Lots of the nice new dark green trees, which were introduced in the Lion Knight's castle. I think the dark green palm tree leaves are new as well, so I got a ton of those for a future Bionicle MOC. Actually, I can talk about it now. The Bionicle Island that we built for LEGO Masters, I felt I kind of want to recreate that in person, and I am working on that as a project, so this is something that I did get a lot of leaves for. We have, of course, the new fern pieces, which I mentioned. And these were cool to get. a lot of these in bulk, because these were just introduced for the Lego City Farm stuff, and they're really expensive on Pick-a-Brick, but here you can get them by weight, which was very, very nice of Lego to do. Same for these leaf elements, which you can actually stack together and form kind of a beanstalk type thing, so that's really cool that they had a ton of those just available in bulk. Otherwise, I tried to just prioritize interesting colors and recolors of plants, like the brown bushes here, the dark green bushes. Kind of reminds me when we got red bushes for AquaZone. Whenever you got a bush in a new color that was kind of interesting, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool to get. But I did try to get a good standard spread of leaf pieces just because I do want to start building more MOCs, and leaves are always very, very useful. We'll set these aside for now because you can kind of see the full spread of leaves here. This is going to make one heck of a thumbnail, and then move on to the next pieces here, which thankfully I think that these ones are going to be a little bit nicer because, well, this one's all base plates, so it's not like this is going to make a mess. In fact, I don't think I need to open this one. This is all base plates. There's nothing interesting here. I mean, they're just base plates in maybe interesting colors, but I just got a ton of base plates for my own Lego wall displays, so I can set that aside. Let's see, what's in here? Oh, this is even less interesting. This is all utility. This is all 1x2 transparent studs to attach minifigures to walls, which I use in my minifig wall displays, and lots of white base plates also for my minifig wall displays. So this is also gonna be not super interesting for folks. And then lastly, we've got these, which are a ton of masonry bricks, more base plates, and some of the fluorescent neon, kind of the highlighter yellow bricks, or vibrant yellow, I think is what Lego calls it, in there as well. Okay, well that was quite easy, because I think we've dumped out all of the interesting things, and now I think it's time to summarize the entire haul as a whole. Now, Legoland Germany is quite an interesting beast, because as I've mentioned and as I've explained throughout the video, they do everything by weight, and sometimes that is very good, and sometimes that is, well, not so good. And you kind of have to figure out on the spot exactly how much you're paying and whether or not it's worth it. There is no exact science to things, you just kind of have to figure it out. If you have a bag of pieces and you kind of look at it and think, well, this feels a little bit more expensive than what it would be to get all these on Bricklink, then don't get it. Alternatively, you could have a bag of pieces, kind of eyeball it, and feel like you're getting a great deal compared to Bricklink. I genuinely don't really know. Like, I tried to kind of figure out where a lot of my lots fell. I'm sure I got a better deal on the animals than Bricklink. I'm sure that I got a better deal on the printed pieces, and definitely the newer pieces in Bricklink, but it is a tough game to play when you're in person, just kind of sitting there and being like, I don't know if I'm getting a good deal on this, or what to even make of this. So it is very, very interesting to actually shop at the Germany Pick-a-Brick. It is very unique, that is for sure. There is no other Lego experience in the world like it. And that's why I wanted to make a video like this, to really showcase what can be done if you just go crazy at Legoland Germany Pick-a-Brick. I don't think anybody actually usually buys this much stuff, but you know what? I'm trying to start Lego mocking, I'm trying to start getting into custom builds, and this is going to be very helpful. And of course, Robert was able to get a ton as well, and he's asked me to sell some of his stuff, which I didn't even show in this video, but do check those out in a Whatnot auction if they haven't been sold already. So there you go. It's both for fun and I guess for Robert for profit as well, but for me this is all just going into my own mocking stuff because I want these pieces for my own custom builds, and this is very exciting because I have so many exciting things planned, so many custom builds. I want to recreate my Lego Masters builds. Oh my goodness, just a lot of plans I have for these pieces. And personally, I am very grateful to Legoland Germany that they have a service like this, and wish that Lego would actually have the service in other places, not just Germany. Oh well, one can only dream. Hopefully you enjoyed this insane haul from the store, and thanks so much for watching me unbox pretty much the entirety of my Legoland Germany parts haul. And with that, we have summed up our look at the incredible, insane, phenomenal, beyond belief, I'm running out of adjectives here, Legoland Germany Pick-a-Brick, which continues to be amazing. Unfortunate about the 5-piece limit for some of the rarest items, but I think they knew what they were doing because I know if that limit wasn't there, they definitely would not have had, like, any of those pieces because people would have bought them up in bulk. So I get it, it makes sense, but man, that was pretty crazy, and I really do wish that Legolands around the world would do pick-a-brick like this. I feel like that would drive a lot of at least A-full traffic towards the Legolands. Maybe that's not something they necessarily want, but I feel like this shouldn't just be limited to Germany. So I'm very curious around the back end, like, why is Legoland Germany in particular so special that they get this? Why not Billund? They're next to a factory after all. Why not any of the other Legolands? Why not any in the US? I genuinely have no idea why it's only at this one location. But as far as it is only at this one location, I genuinely might make an annual trip out. I am in the process of convincing other LEGO YouTubers to go with me. So stay tuned, because this time next year, if I'm able to convince them, we might actually have a vlog coming out of me, Jonathan, aka Mini Superheroes Today, maybe Sarah, aka Just Too Good. We'll see who we can get on the trip, but I kind of want to make this an annual thing, so we'll see. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for tuning into Duck Bricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming away very soon, and bye for now.